Gaur Premanandari. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. So are there some issues, specific issues you should address or in general?
I have one.
Yeah.
The question was, what did Prabhupada say about like building a team and like starting up like a mantra and making it strong?
Team.
Yeah.
Well, any kind of team, there's no meaning of a team if it doesn't have the same objective. Okay? Amongst Kami's team comes about in a very simple way. They just team up to make money. That's all. You know. Then there are a few idealists who team up to follow the same line of speculation. And that always goes bad, because the speculations divide on the way. And you never see continuity in a teamwork amongst Kamis generally. There's no parampara. Actually, our real teamwork is parampara. That's the team. You know, that various gurus, various acharyas address the same issue according to the time, place and circumstances. So on basis of that, a teamwork is possible for us amongst devotees. Outside of that, very difficult. And it's amazing how Srila Prabhupada, well aware of, difficult times, or let's say of the disintegrated state of sins from the movement he came, he still tried, even upon arriving in the West, to team up, with his godbrothers. So there's letters addressing these issues. He thought he's just opening another branch of, Gaudiya Math. And it was proven to him, absolutely, not necessarily actually in the first place by some opposition, by an absolute negligence, about his preaching attempt, towards his preaching attempt, that he would have to do something simply on his own. But Prabhupada pushed that team, which is very difficult in Kali Yuga, because Kali Yuga is the age of hypocrisy and quarrel, and that comes automatically, it's together. First you pretend to be somebody you are not, then somebody disagrees, then you start to quarrel with him, to be distinct. Everybody carries these distinct ideas. And that doesn't make stop, between devotees. Prabhupada said, when he was addressed, the problem was brought towards him, devotees are quarreling all the time. And Prabhupada really had a beautiful conclusion to this. He said, that's the proof, it's not all one and the same. So in one sense, it's natural as an individual being to express oneself individually. But, Prabhupada said we have to discuss, and we may have even different opinions. Like example, how Krishna consciousness should be presented. We cannot have a difference of opinion that it should be presented. And we cannot have any difference of opinions what it is. Nowadays it's deteriorated to such a degree that often we are challenged to redefine Krishna consciousness. Actually, this discussion shouldn't even be there. To redefine Krishna consciousness. What is it? This shouldn't be there because it's all defined already. It's already given by Prabhupada. We have nothing to discuss in this matter. Okay, this is closed. Finished. But again, people come up with all kinds of shapes and colors and varieties who will point out and you recognize them always. The first thing they do, they try to change the vocabulary. It's interesting. They always try to reinvent words. You must be very careful. There was one article in the old BTG, I don't know the number of course, it was written by Ravindra Swarup about the power of words. That was still in the times where even BTG was addressing very controversial issues and really attacking tone was there. Attacking the hypocrisy in a society. So there was an article about power of the word, something like this. I don't know exactly the title of the article, but it really caught my attention. Where he used the example of Hitler and other really, dictators, how they actually did something completely terrible, but they presented in such a nice words that people didn't even understand this is terrible. It's like, I think in the same article it was pointed out that abortion is called family planning, Sounds very optimistic. We plan a family. That's not what we kill the child. Family planning, they call it family planning counseling. And then they tell the woman, yeah, you should go to this doctor and kill the child. They call it the Jews, I call it a question of relocation. Yeah, he relocated them in a gas chamber and he killed them all. So it's the vocabulary, like German language serves really beautifully to that purpose. It's just something completely, some atrocity can be expressed in such a plain, kind of normal way. You think, aha. So one should be very alert if somebody starts with this new vocabulary, trying to change Prabhupada's words, mix it around, redefine the whole thing, this redefining Krishna consciousness is destroying, of course, team. There will be no team. There will be more and more, splitting. And then you find, when I realize the splitting mechanism, I ran towards my very, very advanced intellectual God, Bhagavad Swami, and I was going, look, how's a deviation? And he looked at me like, what are you talking about? He told me, don't you read Chaitanya Charitamrita? It's all there, actually. This branch out, and this branch out, and this Vaishnava party, and this Vaishnava party ultimately came out victorious by this argument, It was a long struggle, This is the result of people inventing things, all the time inventing, always inventing, never can keep things as they are, never can keep things the same. And this is, therefore Prabhupada defines here the quality of a devotee in relationship to managers, but this is relevant to all devotees actually, because all devotees to some degree are managers. You have to manage at least your socks or something like that. So Prabhupada writes, all our managers should be spiritually advanced, simple, and honest in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master and Krishna. That will be a nice standard. Democracy and spiritual affairs are all good, but breeds power politics. We should be careful about power politics, meaning that's also what destroys a team if somebody is carrying some ambition. He has an agenda how to actually overcome the others and, and install or establish a superiority. Usually the triggering mechanism is money. That's all. Therefore Krishna is very careful to give us some money. Because, immediately, money means actually in an ultimate sense not the hedonistic concept of enjoying and buying yourself some fancy car. But money means to actually power. You can buy people, you can control people, you can, have your way. People are respecting, ooh, that's the man with lots of money. Especially Kali Yuga status. Whoa, so much money. Oh. Cannot imagine how rich all these Indian gurus are. We are nothing. ISKCON, just a small peanuts. Some of these gurus, oh my God, how do they get that, extract that much money? You know the story, one of the latest one right now. It's a big issue, I think I mentioned it already. In India. He kind of died. But his death would mean that the vast properties in America, in the West, in India, will have to be somehow divided amongst the relatives. They will inherit something. And they cannot. Because his disciples declared that he is not dead, he is in Samadhi. And even the doctor came and testified, this man is dead. He said, he is a materialist, he doesn't understand. Our Guru is in Samadhi. And he will wake up again. So you cannot inherit one thing. There's a big dispute in the courts, it's all in the court, and they don't know what to do with that. And they said, no, but we have a testimony here, this man is finished. Look, probably they have to wait until the whole body completely disintegrates, which probably can take. But it's not disintegrating. They put him in a freezing room. What do you do with that? So it's a whole hack like this, So this is craziness, of course. So this ambitiousness that destroys team. And team has to be ultimately, it's difficult. To be honest, I can quote one of my previous Gurudevas who carried so much responsibility and was trained personally by Prabhupada in matters to be a GBC even, to be a BBT trustee, to be all this. Prabhupada personally trained him. And Prabhupada gave him like one instruction on the way, that you have to always cooperate with the Gurudevas. But then also he gave him so many other instructions, which in the process the Gurudevas started to violate. Now which instruction do you follow? The instruction you got, don't do this, but then you have to cooperate with the Gurudevas who are doing that. And he was desperate. What do you do? I wouldn't have an answer for this until today. So ultimately, of course, that's a question of personal choice. There has to be, the instruction of the spiritual master has to be followed. So you don't. Even at the cost being ostracized, expelled from a team which is on a deviant course, you don't violate the instruction of the spiritual master. And nowadays, luckily, in Kali Yuga, we speak about not some subtle deviations, Yeah, this is pretty gross. It's getting really gross. It's a straight ahead attack on the four regulated principles, on basic philosophical understanding. But things can also get quite subtle. So we should not just go with the mass. It's very dangerous. One of the instructions we got in from the previous GBC was that you never do just things because they do them somewhere else. Oh yeah, now they do this, let's follow. No. You always verify what you do with what did Prabhupada say. Because the majority, as we saw in the history of mankind, is not the standard of being right or wrong. The majority can be really wrong. There's so many examples in the history of mankind how people massively, fall in Maya. So this is not. Therefore Prabhupada said no democracy. Democracy means the majority votes. Yes, we won Hitler. It's very nice. It's a very nice guy. And a few years down the line, everything is destroyed. So we don't. And I noticed it's really amazing how intuitively devotees flock together. Birds of the same feather flock together. It's always like that. It's amazing. It's subtlety. Desires can be very subtle, So it's a desire, like the desire not to cheat, or not being cheated. That brings a certain group of people together, who completely intuitively just feel like, I like to be with this one. So this is how teams usually come about. That's how teams come about. And, those teams who are most close to Prabhupada, they will survive. They will prevail. It's just a question of time. Sometimes time is very deceiving. Like Bhima had a problem with this, They had this period of banishment. And Bhima said, but we were cheated. Don't you know that? They cheated us in a game of dice. They humiliate us. Shall we accept it or what? What kind of agreement is this? It's not an agreement. We were cheated. It's invalid. And Bhima always, every morning came up and he said, I alone can't go back and kill them all. You can stay in the forest. You can wait. I will come back. Don't worry. And I can just cut them all. And Maharaj decided to specify him going, this is all some plan here, because Maharaj Yudhishthira was like the Brahmana in that team. So he could see that there is a meaning to that. A time, it takes time, okay? That's why it's a difficult thing to be patient, because we don't have the vision upon the time. But the time, you cannot cheat time. You can cheat so many things, but you cannot cheat the time. Krishna says, I am the time. And I came to destroy them all. So if you would know really, if you would really understand how Krishna is at time, we might be quite peaceful people actually. But sometimes we think, this is too much, this is just too much. Krishna, can you speed it up, please? Like how many times you read in the books, he chanted and then he became, the pure Vaishnava. Now, it sounds like now. We asked this question once, one of my godbrothers, he said, this word now, but we don't see it, it's not happening now. And then the answer I heard, it's quite nice actually, I never forgot the answer. He said, well, we have our own concept what now is. But Krishna's now, it's maybe a little bit different as we think. Because we are conditioned by the time concept that we carry around. So we think, now! When Krishna says now, well, it may take 100 years. For Krishna, this is really now, because, in comparison to eternity, it's nothing. So we are conditioned by this concept, what should be now, and why is this not this happening, and that happening, and therefore Prabhupada was so pacifying in his appearance, and he was a dying man. But he really acted like he is going to live forever. Even he said, I will die, but his, people usually when they say, I will die, then you feel like they are on some kind of marathon, or they get anxious, or they get desperate, or they get something, I will die. No, when Prabhupada said, I will die, he said it in such a way that nobody got even worried. This is some kind of humble statement. He's humble. Because, he was not seeing himself dying in a sense that his service will go on. So, it's like having gummy gloves in a kitchen or whatever. You are not worried, oh, they are falling apart, yeah, you will get new ones, so what? So this body falling apart, yeah, so what? You will get a new one, you continue with devotional service. So this kind of overview on the future is I earn the right to be engaged in Krishna's service lifetime after lifetime, this gives one such a peace. And that Prabhupada emanated this. He was not from New York, he was not 1968. Therefore it's insulting when some certain individuals define him as if he would live in a particular time. Yeah, that was at that time. now new time arrived. It's 2014. What do you mean 2014? It's the same Kali Yuga. And 1968 was just yesterday. Come on. I mean, how do I feel? Wouldn't even think about, 42 years now I'm chanting Hare Krishna. Some devotees go, wow. What do you mean, wow? I feel the same thing when I wake up in the morning. I raise my feet back and I just chant my rounds, and even like Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, and he was the Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I remember that lecture, he said, you really believe when I chant the holy name, my hair stand at the end? I have some piece of information for you. It's not happening. It's nice, I like this kind of, glimpses of honesty. It's just like, what do you expect? 42 years? It's nothing. It's nothing. After millions of lifetimes, I picked up the beat bag. And I would have never done that without meeting Srila Prabhupada. That idea wouldn't cross my mind. So this is, we are all beginners. We are all in the beginning. We are trying to get the glimpses of spiritual life, and we are trying we may definitely have some taste, otherwise we wouldn't sit around here. There is some taste, there is some ruchi must be there, because why should we do that? We are, let's say, attached to stay around, but that doesn't make us to faint in ecstasy, Yeah, I feel often like fainting, but not like ecstasy, So, so this is like, let's get serious. And Prabhupada was so encouraging. He really treated us like devotees. That's amazing, It's an amazing way to preach. And by his spiritual power, he invested into us. We actually start to act like devotees. We wouldn't do it on our own. Therefore, I always laughed, when there was a theatre play or something like this, to get the devotees playing demons, really easy, Yeah. I myself, I played Ravana, and I was very appreciated. I changed even my voice, and, I was so arrogant, so demoniac. I felt completely normal, I was just a Hitler Ravana, I felt really hot. Yeah. Later on, I played with Shingadev, and I felt a little bit uneasy already, But Ravana was perfect, this, I'm God, yes. I didn't even have to learn the lines. They came so naturally, Devotees were going, hey, we didn't wrote this down, And I said, well, how does it sound? Sounds very convincing, yeah. Even at the first day of this performance of the theatre piece, I invented lines just right away there on the spot. I felt so naturally demoniac. So no problem. So that's where we come from. But to somebody to play Krishna, this is very difficult. It doesn't. It looks all sentimental. It's like Italian opera. But it can be done. But by Prabhupada's mercy, it became real. It was real. Absolutely real. In his presence to walk around as a sannyasi was real. In his presence to be brahmachari, I tell you, it wasn't so difficult. It wasn't difficult. Especially when you had another 20 brahmacharis around you. So it was like, that was not so difficult. It was not difficult to distribute a book. To distribute a book was easy. Because Prabhupada is here, that's all. And he wants this to be done. Never would cross my mind to do it on my own. Completely against my concept of myself. Me, the intellectual, subtle, very unique. and distinct artist should go out there and push this book I hardly understand into somebody's stomach and hear the insults as he says, now get lost. You know, why should I do that? The only problem is that, everybody is such an idiot, they don't understand how unique and distinct I am. That's called artist. So all this just was ripped in pieces. Because I had some suspicion in the back, that's not going to make me happy, this. The whole life you search for unique. Even every artist is this crisis.